All those in favor, motion by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, nay. Okay, minutes as presented stand approved. Okay, the next item is the treasurer's report for Q3. Mike, I don't believe has joined us this morning. I know he was running a little bit late. But you have our Q3 report through the end of September. Were there any questions on that? Of where we are standing? I'm going to pull this up as of September. Multitasking here. So as of September, our total net assets or retained earnings, we have $403,455.79. So we are in good standing there. So I'll just take a motion to accept the treasurer's report for Q3 as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Mark. Do we have a second?
Second. Daniel.
Thank you, Nathaniel. All right, any discussion on the financials? Okay, all those in favor, motion by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, nay. All right, the Q3 financials have been accepted. Okay, moving on, back in July, we had our fiscal year 2024 budget was presented in draft format. And we had an optimistic budget presented due to the multiple grants that we had put forth for securing and opportunities. And unfortunately, some of those did not come to fruition. So I just want to thank executive committee members and steering committee members that assisted into relooking at the budget, and that was in your packet for presentation. And I guess I asked to the group if we want to highlight some of the changes that we made, or if there are any questions to the budget as being presented. What we did is we identified the security of included in this budget, which I'm pulling up here now. Let me see here. Can I share screen?
Yes,
Laura?
yes.
So I want to make sure that I get the right one up here for everybody. Okay, is everybody seeing a spreadsheet here? Is it big enough to see? Okay, thank
Yes.
you. Okay, so what we're showing here is what we just shared with you of where we were landing with where we're at as of the end of September. And then where we are estimating for year end for budget. This is the 2023 budget as approved. We have been making proposed investments into our reserves. And as we look forward into the next year, this is a summary of what the revised budget looks like with a break even. So looking at partnership dues with some growth, some sponsorship funding, individual donations and grants, which I'll go over in more detail, and then general registration fees for some upcoming programs and events, giving us a total revenue of $302,725 with a fund reserve investment of $81,710 is what we're proposing from our reserves. On the expense side, we've got our support with our fiscal sponsor, Friends of the Forest Preserve District, which we appreciate. Insurance officers, O&E insurance, our technology and expenditures, as well as our contractor for Alliance coordinator, and then all the programs. So a lot of reinvestment into programs and activities and marketing and communication, $384,435. So if this all works as envisioned, and I'll go into the details, then we should project the end this year, if estimates turn out as we expect, at $411,311 or $329,601 at the end of fiscal year 2024 with the investments. The clean budget, as far as details here that you have, it's broken down into our operating revenue. So our partnership dues, we have not increased dues. We are leaving those at the same level. And again, looking to see that individuals that are able to contribute a little bit more, that would be great. And those communications will be going out relatively soon. donations, and then our grant, which we're grateful for, from the Illinois Department of Natural Resources, Community and Urban Forestry Program. And that's been funding a lot of our core work and our JEDI work. So that's planned, that's a given, and that's at $70,000 for the upcoming year. The two programmatic pieces that really are highlighted for the following year is some continued work into our programs, our field trips, but primarily Conservation Congress, which we'll talk about a little bit more as we get further into the meeting, and then some convenings on our cap and work. And then, so what we've had to do on the expense side, due to revenues that have not been landed on some grants, we've had to resize some of our expenditures. So this is getting to the critical core work of the Alliance. So the back office to keep us communicating, our coordinator, and then spending some investments into our continued work, which is the programmatic side. So rebranding of the Congress for 2024. Continue with our cafe series, our JEDI work, which you'll hear about, and continuing on our cap and work, the climate action for people and nature, and then regular gatherings. Then on the tabs that you did receive, though, there were some opportunities. We broke out individual budgets for our Congress, as well as some of our cap and work, and you can read those. And so those are some opportunities just to see what it would take if we were to invest in some other activities. For example, the extras on the Congress, if we were to do, we had some envisioned plans that we had put forth in our grant applications for facilitators, working with some indigenous cultural for tribal participants and some outreach. And so if we were to add that back in, right now this is without it. Congress is taking an investment from reserves, about $19,600 as it stands. If we were to add everything that we put forth in our grants, we would actually be investing about $35,000 additionally from reserves to make all of that happen for Congress. On the cap and work, same thing. Our cap and is what we've now streamlined. It's showing an investment from reserves on the budget that's proposed, about $7,100 for that program. And if we go into all the extras that we envisioned for our cap and work, it would be an additional investment of $521,399. So we have not invested in that. We are hopeful to receive a grant for some of that work and can add in, or is partially, to break that out. So I'm going to stop talking. Anyone else that has questions about the budget or some of these other programmatic pieces that anyone would like to discuss? Looking for hands, questions. Okay, hearing none. So I would entertain a motion on our agenda, how we've refinanced and recalculated here our budget for the upcoming year. You're seeing the investments that we're making into programs, and then the opportunity to do more should those opportunities come to be. Do I have a motion on the budget? Further discussion of motion? Mark?
Don't move.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Jerry. Thank you so much. Okay, any discussion on the budget as presented? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of accepting and approving the fiscal year 2024 budget as presented? Motion, all those in favor, motion by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Okay, the budget for 2024 is accepted. Thank you so much. All right, Laura, do you want to put back up the screen for me? Situation. Okay. The next item that we have is reappointment of steering committee members. And there was a memo in the packet. So we are looking to reappoint existing partners, Mark Bowman, Mike Lester, and Maggie Solas of reappointment for the at-large positions. Mike has served as the treasurer, but he is stepping down into risking to take another term as an at-large member. And then once this is accepted for their reappointment, which they are allowed to serve for another reappointment to another 3-year term, hopefully we'll elevate someone from our at-large membership into an officer position, and then that will open up another position on the steering committee, and we'll go through that process. We did receive some other nominations, and as we work through that, we will do some reappointment and bring that back to everyone in January. So I'll entertain a motion to reappoint our 3 steering committee members for another term, effective January 2024.
So moved,
So-
Daniel.
Nathaniel, thank you. Do I have a second?
Second, Schultz.
Thank you, Ralph. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, motion by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, nay? Okay, motion carries. Congratulations. Thank you for stepping forward. And again, thank you to Alliance partners that advance names, which will go under consideration through this process. It's really important that we have leadership stepping forward to take on this additional work. The Executive Council still continues to be the body that leads the organization, brings everyone together, and we do appreciate all the organizations bringing team members forward to lead some of our GVI work, as well as some of the leadership in these other committees and task force. So thank you. All right, that takes care of consent agenda. I just wanted to make sure that we went through everything we probably could have done and saved some time there, but just because we had lack of a quorum, I just want to make sure that we continue to be transparent with the partnership resources and the work that's going on with everyone. So thank you for taking the time on that. I'm going to now turn it over, Laura, or to Danny. I don't know who is here that wants to lead about our new equity series.
I'm happy to lead this. Let's see. Can you see my screen right now? I'm having some technical difficulties myself today, so I apologize. But we're really thrilled to bring our next step Jedi workshop training series to light. We're working with Parker McMillan Bushman and Eco-Inclusive Strategies, thanks to a generous grant from IDNR Urban and Community Forestry, to repeat our foundational trainings, as well as offer some advanced level Jedi workshop trainings. And we are able to offer these in a couple of ways, which is really exciting this time. We can offer in-person virtual webinar for up to 300 people. And it's going to be guided by Parker. And then the recordings will be available on our website for up to 2 years. And so what this means is that you'll be able to either participate in the guided workshops, or you could take these series back to your own host organization and review these together at different times throughout the next 2 years, and kind of do an experience within your own staff. If you choose to do it that way with the recordings, which is available. All you have to do is register, and then we'll send you a code and you'll be able to do this. And I also want to thank the Forest Preserves of Cook County for providing additional support for us to be able to host this for 300 people, as well as to have these recordings on our website for so long. So I did drop into a chat a registration link. On the landing page, you'll be able to determine if you want to register for each individual series, or if you want to just join for the recording and receive the code to have all the recordings sent to you. But either way, all that information is on the website, and I'm happy to talk to you further about that. But we are really excited to be able to offer this again. Danny, are you here? I think if they've left anything off, please jump in and share that with me. Let's see, we wanted to go. Actually, Andy, do you want to, or Ralph, do you want to talk about the Excellence in Ecological Restoration Awards?
Sure, I can take that one, Laura. So one of the items that we have today is that we need approval of the Executive Council of recommendations from the Commission on Excellence in Ecological Restoration. We had two applications this year, one from the Lake County Forest Preserves and the other from the Forest Preserve District of Will County. The first application from Lake County is for Greenbelt Forest Preserve, and that received a platinum level accreditation based on both the application and the review, as well as the site review and discussion amongst the commission members and staff at Lake County. The second is Sand Ridge Savanna Preserve in Will County that received a gold level accreditation, again, based on the review of the application as well as a site review on the staff. And so from the commission standpoint, we are making this recommendation for these two awards.
Thank you, Ralph. Appreciate all the work of the commission and the two agencies that submitted for this process. If I could entertain a motion to accept the awarding of these two prestigious awards to these agencies. Ralph, are you moving it on behalf of the commission?
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Please, thank you. And I have a second.
Second, Kathy.
Thank you so much, Kathy. All right, any discussion? All those in favor, motion by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, nay. Hearing none, congratulations to Lake County Forest Preserves and Forest Preserve District of Will County on these honors. And we'll be acknowledging and recognizing these honorees at the annual appreciation event, which Laura, why don't you highlight too, because we are making a change, as well as the Force of Nature Award.
Yes, so we're really grateful to the Morton Arboretum, Lydia Scott, for helping us to arrange a partner appreciation and awards event. We're going to start with an in-person executive council meeting that all are invited to attend from 2 to 4. It'll be in the Sycamore Room. From there, we'll adjourn to a reception in the Visitor Center. And actually the award, this didn't upstate, but the awards event will begin at 5:30. And then after the awards event, we'll have some additional time for networking and getting together with one another. So we're really thrilled to be able to come together and celebrate the Excellence in Ecological Restoration Awards, as well as the Force of Nature Award winners. And those announcements will be made shortly. We'll be doing a press release announcement soon.
Thank you. So we are hopeful that all mark your calendars, invite colleagues from your organization to be present for this. And it is a change to the executive council meeting. Normally we would be meeting online or in person in the morning. And so we're moving that to the afternoon just to be inclusive, for opportunity to celebrate and bring this all together. So mark that on your calendars. All right. Next, before Laura, we get to this on your piece, I did want to talk about, do you have on the Congress and maybe Victoria, Mark, and the work that's going on here for our call out. If you could talk a little bit about where we're headed and what's been included in the budget, what's being envisioned for next year.
Laura, would you like to start us off?
Yes. Okay. So we're really thrilled that Victoria and I were able to do an exploratory meeting with the Purdue University Northwest in Hammond and take a look at the site that they have available there. And we're doing some exploratory research on the use of the space, but we're really pleased to hear that they had both large and small rooms available to us, that we would be able to do breakout rooms, and are just doing some fact-finding information on that space to see if that's where we're going to be able to meet in the future. On October 19th, the planning committee will be meeting virtually, and we'd like to invite all of our Green Vision Initiative team leads to join the planning group that is starting to meet. And I'd be happy to send an invitation to folks or connect you with the Zoom link for that. I think that is at, what is that, at 1 o'clock, Victoria? I think so. Actually, it's at 3 o'clock.
Yeah, it's at 3 o'clock.
October 19th. So we will be able to get that started. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Victoria, because I think that I've left out some of the basic information that we were talking about in the beginning. So.
Sure. Thank you, Laura. Yeah, we had a wonderful visit to PNW's Hammond campus a few weeks ago. And I don't know about you guys, but I absolutely love college campuses in the fall. And PNW is their native plantings were an inspiration. You know, the building that we would potentially hold the Conservation Congress in has a lot of really wonderful spaces. It's all contained kind of in one building, but then a short walk away through, you know, a lovely area, you can get to really large breakout rooms. There's a cafeteria in that building. There's a wonderful networking space. And yeah, it could be really wonderful. So we're working with some point staff at PNW to explore some of the details regarding, you know, what's the cost for each of the rooms that we'd like to utilize. What would catering look like? Could we use the cafeteria? You know, a lot of those kinds of details. And so tomorrow we'll kind of dig into that a little bit deeper, and you are all more than welcome to join us and you know, roll up your sleeves and help with some of the planning. I would like to say that a fairly large group of partners that work in the Calumet region had been meeting monthly for about a year to figure out how to hold a summit, a Calumet summit. If you're not aware, there have been several Calumet summits over the past 10, 15 years, and partners realize that now is a great time to come back together and understand how much progress has been made and vision out for the future. And so along the way, you might remember that we've had discussions with the Executive Council to consider combining the two efforts so that the Calumet Summit becomes embedded within the CWA Conservation Congress. And so that's what's happening. That's how we're moving forward. But because the Calumet Summit Planning Committee has already put in a lot of really great thought and work into what that summit might look like, I feel like we're hitting the ground running going into the Conservation Congress planning. So I'm calling out to all of you that participated in the Calumet Summit planning meetings to please join us tomorrow and get involved. And then for the rest of you, you know, we really want to make sure that this is representative of the 4-state Chicago Wilderness Alliance region. And so we hope to see you there.
I could just add a quick thing. For those of you not familiar, this campus is very close to the Illinois-Indiana state line. It's just off of I-94 and is really a great facility that was actually the site of Calumet Summits in 2006 and in 2010. So it's a kind of returning in that way. But there's so much that these Calumet partners have been doing that feels like it would be really relevant to the entire 4-state alliance, and vice versa, that those partners would like to learn from things that are happening elsewhere. And this is a really good way to kind of put these pieces together. The timing is just right, as Victoria said.
Yes, thank you, Mark. And you reminded me that actually the South Shore line is right up the street from PNW's Hammond campus. So there is public transport available. And for those of you that would want to stay overnight, there are plenty of hotels very close to the campus as well. And I like to dream big. And so I'm wondering if we can maybe work in a Saturday of really exciting field trips and, you know, getting out into the region to explore some of the incredible natural spaces that partners have been working on. So.
Thank you, Victoria. Thank you, Mark and Laura, and for all the work that's begun on planning for this opportunity. And, we've always had it at the forum, and it's nice to kind of change a place and expand further to get new partners and to bring that on. So we'll engage anyone that's willing to step up and help within your organizations to whatever role. And I'm sure as you begin to develop where we need leadership from to assist. Thank you. And let us know, and we'll push out too when the first gathering will be to pull those volunteers together. Laura, did you have anything else to add on Congress?
No.
Okay. All right, which moves us now into some of our working group updates. And before we go into the Green Vision, there have been 3 working groups that have been assembled kind of on our work plan for the year. Some that are broader than just the steering committee that reach out. And the first one was grants and funding. And I just have to applaud the efforts and the amount of work that went in to put and submit some grant applications, a lot of time and effort. But through that, I think we're refining kind of where our core work is and building upon so we can now pursue other grant opportunities. So if Mark, Ted, for others that want to highlight the first one to talk about grants and funding and where we landed and what you see on the horizon, and some good news as well.
Mark, you want to take a stab at it?
I was gonna say after you. Well, I'll just say we applied as a really wonderful core team, and including the support from TNC's staff to submit a letter of intent to NOAA. And we just found out Friday afternoon that we've been given the thumbs up to proceed for a full grant application, which would go in mid-February. And that is really great news. And sort of, if it is funded, it would light up those parts on the budget that Elizabeth was showing us before, that we, it expresses our intent. And if we can find the resources for it, we would by all means love to do, including the climate action plan for people and nature in all of its dimensions. That includes a lot of community engagement, as well as really further investments in the hub that we can talk about in a few minutes that will help, again, support the initiative work across the board and some of the core functions. So if that came through, we wouldn't probably have the funding until October of next year, but it's a really a nice sign. Ted, do you want to say more?
Yeah, the other thing that was really nice about it, in addition to the TNC support, which I think was really helpful, was Victoria's support to step up and sort of project manage our group and set a timeline to keep us on track. I have to apologize to Victoria. We struggled at that at times, but she did a fantastic job. And I think our group, and I speak for our group, we really appreciated her effort, because without that, it probably would have been a much heavier lift. The other thing I will add to Mark's statement is they were really kind in our assessment and gave us a lot of really good feedback for the February round. I have only summarily looked at it, but the comments were pretty good. And I think we have some good work to do, as well as some good directions to follow. So we need to reconvene now that we've had this news. I think we're all sort of breathing a sigh of relief and we're sort of like, did this really happen? Maybe, but we have some work to do. So that's all I have to say about that. But again, and then the other kudos should go to Laura and Maria, because they did a lot of heavy lifting on the writing and coordinating of this. And so, between those 3 CW members, it really helped Mark and the other participants like myself sort of raise the bar for success.
Thank you, Ted. Thank you, Mark and Victoria and Laura, Maria. So
Excellent,
to
Tina.
the NOAA, so now we rework on positioning that. Like you said, this would be funding that would come in with an award notice, likely for 2025, or at least towards the very end of 2024. But great work to that team. And I would also encourage as other grant opportunities, obviously all these wish list items, and they're not just wish, they're visions that we would like to see and be more robust in our programming, that there's opportunities, if there's more private foundation grants or other funding, I think we could pair them up and parcel them out and still try to get some additional funding yet to do some of the work for the upcoming year. So keeping that network of opportunities available so that we can just repackage. All right, the next working group that was pulled together is a partnership onboarding and engagement group. And I want to thank Jerry, Nathaniel, John, and Cherie that have been working with myself and Laura on this. And this group is just getting started. But it is our hope that we will have some onboarding materials for, that was one of the items that was identified in the PCI report, and through the work with Bold Bison, as teams are integrating or individuals are stepping forward, how do they plug in to this organization, an alliance that's complex and have many working groups. So we are working on that, and we're hopeful to have something to share with the group. Anyone else that has an interest and would really like to lend some hand and some thought process to that onboarding process, we would more than welcome you to join that working group. So just reach out, let Laura or myself know, and we'll plug you into that group. The other, yeah, I'm sorry.
Actually, can I add to that? I know that Jerry, you connected us to your staff at Open Lands to share some of their examples of onboarding materials. So if others of you have onboarding materials that you use at your organization, I would love to learn from those. And so feel free to share them with me. You can just email them to me or connect me to the person on your staff who does that work. I'm dropping my email into the chat here.
Thank you, Laura. Absolutely. That was one of the areas we don't have to reinvent. We all are bringing volunteers onto our organization, and how we can best, what are the right tools? Is it written? Is there a video? Are there other things that we can work on? The other group that's been working is engaging corporate partners, and I'm so thankful. Mark, Mike, Vince, and Maggie have started to join and then reaching out, and Mark is going to lead this team to assist with that. So Mark, you want to highlight kind of some of your thoughts and vision that you had for our corporate partners engagement?
Yeah, well, first of all, would love to have a co-lead. I don't think of myself as Mr. Corporate America, so I that's not my world. However, we've had some success in working with some partners and establishing natives on their land and things like that. I think of the work as probably two major things that could maybe reinvigorate the conversation with the corporate partners. One is that, exactly that. What else can be done on corporate lands in the Chicago Wilderness region, as we have tools now that help us to identify potential, as there's been a lot of real estate work in play, as corporate headquarters are shifting. Allstate's a big example. You know, what happens to big landscapes like that, maybe it's a little, maybe it's a lot that could be done that fit the vision of Chicago Wilderness. So preliminary thinking about how to go about that, kind of thinking about, you know, who's stakeholders in that area. And then secondly, really trying to re-engage the Chicago region sustainability conversation in general. Corporate sustainability leaders groups and so forth, who are meeting all the time to sort of meet corporate goals around their sustainability objectives. And there are these sort of tables in the Chicago region where those conversations happen, but we've kind of drifted away from engaging them. And so those seem like the two big thrusts to this, in addition to how best can the corporate council itself as an entity you know, function and support the work of the Alliance in general. So those are preliminary thoughts that eager to have anybody's support on, and hope to have more to say about this in a few months.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate your leadership, and yes, a co-lead, and the corporate council under Sarah Rice, again, and I see others that are part of that team. We just want to make sure that we're integrating and providing what you need and to engage more fully and robustly through the alliance. All right, anything else to add on those items by anyone that's here? We've been pushing a lot of information out at you, but any thoughts, questions, ideas? All right, we'll move now into the Green Vision initiatives and just our thought for today, and we'll see how it works. And Laura, I don't know if you set up our breakout sessions, but we'll start off with just a report out so everybody stays apprised of how we're doing in each of the green GVIs. And then the thought would be able to break out, if we can get it to work, into some just different group discussions with our GVI leads and provide more of an engaging meeting here. So we'll start off with managing healthy landscapes. Patty is not able to join us this morning. So Jim, maybe you have something you would like to share with the group.
I would like to say that the next Managing Healthy Landscapes meeting is scheduled for October 24th. And that will be at, let's see, that will be held at 9:30 in the morning, from 9:30 to 11. And I know that many of you are involved with that team. So that information is on our website. I will also drop a link into the chat shortly.
Yeah, thanks, Laura. That's an important meeting coming up, and I would encourage, as many people as possible to attend, because there's some really good stuff that, the Managing Healthy Landscapes has been working on and continues to work on. And so, through leadership with Cook County, we are updating the Community Wildfire Protection Plan, which, is just a plan to identify the urban interface, wildland urban interface, but it also enables us to be thinking about money. And then just in the past week, we have reached out to several of our partners about utilizing the Illinois Fire Service Institute training program to bring some advanced level burn training to get partners certified as burn bosses in the region. And so we're looking to try to bring that to the Chicago Wilderness region, so people don't have to go to Missouri or wherever it may be offered. And some organizations themselves are offering classes. And so the Illinois Prescribed Fire Council is trying to get those on their website so that everybody can go there and find those out. Other things that are going on, the cooperative weed management area, I'm going to say again, is a priority that we just haven't been able to get any traction on. It's imperative that we have a cooperative weed management area approved for the region to tap into funds. I have not talked to Patty in a bit, but I think this is something that we're thinking about and trying to think about how we can engage across the whole CW region. There's been some talk of working with the Chicago Botanical Garden, but then how do we engage folks in Indiana and Wisconsin? And one of the thoughts that have been out there is the possibility of working with the soil and water conservation districts, maybe having them act as the cooperative weed management area sponsors and or people that would be where we could move to, especially if we get it approved and get them money. It may work out that they might be really good sources to get across the Wisconsin-Indiana border. So I don't really have a lot of information about the urban forestry subgroup. I know they've been meeting. They had a meeting on June 27th. They are reaching out to people and trying to figure out, there's a lot of things going on. Oak wilt is especially prominent this year. Herbicide drift is an issue. Just noticed that IDNR now has a site for agricultural applicators, and they can bring up all of the natural areas and sensitive resources on a map on their site. And so that's been put out there, but a lot of work needs to happen on this drift issue. People's oaks in their backyard are being impacted by their neighbors who are having their lawns sprayed. And so I think this will be a topic that they are going to be talking about. So that's pretty much what I have. And I encourage everybody to come to the next meeting, as I know Patty and others have been working diligently to come up with a really cool agenda.
Thank you, Jim. And it's great that we have these running minutes and slides that Bold Bison set up for each of the teams, and those are always available and are being updated. So let's move on to our Growing with Agriculture. I saw Daniel is Tim with
I'm here.
us. Okay.
Hi, Elizabeth. Hi, everybody. Tim Brennan from Farm Foundation couldn't join us today, so I'll just take on the update myself. I'm sure a lot of people have been hearing about some of the things that have been happening lately within the ag team. And I'll start a little bit out of order and just go straight to the 2023 field day that we held in Kane County in August. This was just building off of the success of 2022's Will County field day. And again, we had a totally sold out event, over 50 participants, crammed into 2 buses that checked out, I think, 8 different producers and organizations in Kane County, running the gamut from cut flower operations to working with youth with developmental disabilities, to looking at farming co-op grain elevator. And so all of those things really gave us a really good insight into the diversity of things that are happening. And just honestly, for some of us who had never taken some of those scenic back roads in Kane County, just really appreciated the beauty of Kane County. It's pretty shocking that that exists less than an hour west of downtown Chicago. So really great participation, really great planning. Especially want to call out Janice Hill, Michelle Blackburn, and many others who are not part of CW that helped to pull that together. We'll be looking to 2024. We've had some preliminary discussions to try to expand outside of Illinois in 2024, and it seems like we've got some interest from partners in Northwest Indiana to potentially host a 2024 field day. So we're not quite in the planning process for that yet, but if anyone is interested or has ideas for producers or partners that we should be considering, the CW Ag team has always been a little bit different over the last couple of years in that we're bringing in a lot of partners that have not been a part of Chicago Wilderness in the past. That is very true in Northwest Indiana, especially on the ag side of things. We haven't really engaged in that area that much. And so there are likely some partners that are doing some really important work that we need to be made aware of and connect with and see if we can help them reach some of their goals by hosting a field day. So please feel free to reach out if you have any questions on that. Another big topic right now that my colleague Tim Brennan has been leading is enhancing local agriculture infrastructure. This is something that has been identified by CW Ag team members as something that is really important and is a big barrier to getting regenerative agriculture practices employed on the landscape. And so our 2 field days in Will and Kane counties helped kind of bring some of these issues to light and helped us kind of see some of these issues at play. But there are many things that are needed infrastructure wise to help make regenerative agriculture a reality. And so this team has been meeting in the off months in between our bi-monthly full team meetings to chip away at this issue. But admittedly, this is somewhere that we would need some more help and capacity to help really drive this forward. Tim has been looking at trying to pull together a farmer roundtable next year to help hear directly from farmers on what those infrastructure needs are, And hopefully we can start tailoring some of our field days or adding additional field days that can look at this topic and look at some solutions, some ways that producers have worked past these barriers to success. So that's something that we want to keep moving forward. The next one, Laura, you can go to the next slide. That one's the field day. So I already talked about that one. So we can go to the next one. And this next one is the native seed production pilot. So this is something we've had some ongoing conversations around, this idea of establishing some pilot projects to get native plants either in a row crop situation or in a prairie planting that could then be harvested, and trying to see if this is something that can be done in the Chicago Wilderness region. We're encouraged because a lot of partners have already thought about this. Some have already started in this process of doing some prairie plantings that they can harvest for seed to help provide seed for larger restoration projects. And we know that the Farm Foundation has recently purchased property in a historic farmhouse and some land next to Lake County Forest Preserves and near Independence Grove Forest Preserve. And we're exploring the possibility of establishing a pilot plot on some Lake County Forest Preserve land that we could then bring people to and try to entice into setting up tracks in multiple counties. We know that seeds are in high demand and are very expensive, and we would love to find a way to show the value and the potential for a process like this, and then over time try to find those mechanisms for working with farmers, providing incentive payments for establishing plots like this on some of their marginal or unproductive farmland. And so that is something that that will continue on. And I don't know, Laura, I think we might have not, Tim might not have had a chance to go in and put in another slide about the Peatone Airport discussion, but I can just briefly comment on that. We have a cafe today at noon looking at potential land use opportunities in southeastern Will County, especially around the Peatone Airport discussion. As many of you probably know, this is a conversation that has been happening for a few decades now and has come up again. We know that there isn't really a huge economic incentive or need for this airport. And we've already had Tim Brennan, Bob Hoyer, Ted Hafner have been really critical in moving forward those conversations, where we've already had some touch points with the Will County Board on the idea to develop an alternative land use plan that could be, compared with the Peatone Airport, and Tim got really positive feedback on that. And so I know he's going to be trying to convene some partners to look at an alternative land use plan and to pull something together rather quickly that can be brought in front of the Will County Board as an alternative. And I think right now they're really looking for solid, strategic, well thought out alternatives to that airport. So join in on that cafe today if you can, where you can learn a little bit more about things you can do and ways to tap in. And I think that is all.
Thank you. I did put the link in the chat.
Danielle, thank you for such a great report, and it's very exciting, all the work that's going on with the different groups. This one's really kind of picked up and is moving very well, so thank you. Our next green infrastructure. So I don't know if we have anybody here.
Caroline, are you still with us? You were here earlier, but I don't see you anymore in the participant. Well, they will be convening a Growing Chicago Habitat meeting on October 31st. It's part of the initiative that is driving forward habitat restoration on rights-of-way land. And if you want more information about that, you can also email me and I will connect you with Caroline Hernandez and Iris Caldwell at UIC.
Thanks, Laura. Okay, next we have our protecting land for biodiversity. I saw Kathy. I know Kathy's with us.
Yep, I'm here. Boy, Elizabeth, your voice sounds a little scratchy. I hope you're feeling okay.
Thank
but-
you. Yeah, that's why I apologize for my head and my thought process.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Anyway, there's not much going on with protecting landscapes for biodiversity conservation. I can say that David Hallman has done a phenomenal job of putting together a map of the Chicago region, the Chicago Wilderness region, which includes sites that have the potential to be acquired and add to conservation, which is really great. And he's been working with the Mark Squared on making sure those lands are on the hub. I think recently we had a nice cafe on protecting land that's in private ownership or by private owners, and I mostly through land trust alliances. So really building the array of options to conserve land, not just fee simple, which is the typical way public agencies do it. And just our next step is really going to be on focusing on advocacy. So to make sure we don't lose any other land like Belleville Prairie, and also to advocate for referenda, because a lot of the stumbling block to acquiring more land is not having enough funding. So, luckily Cook County had a successful referendum, and we just want to make sure that everyone who goes for one has the same success and that CW provides the support for those. So we'll do an advocacy cafe coming up in the near future. Thanks.
Thank you, Kathy. And I know there's been some discussion with this team trying to find a partner from the land trusts to also engage and lead with this group as well. So thank you for your work on that.
Yes.
All right, the next group we have is increasing equitable access to nature.
I don't think we have any representatives here today. But I did want to mention that likewise, the next team meeting for equitable access to nature will be on Friday at 9:30. And I am happy, when I'm not sharing the screen, to drop this into the chat as well, if anyone wants to register and join us. It's via Zoom.
And that team is very much also involved beyond all the work that they've been doing on the equity workshop, as well as this year, the JEDI audit that was done. And so I believe those resources, they continue to work through all of that as they emerge together. So great work there. Right.
Ted.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. Good morning. Let's see. Climate Action Plan for Nature, that continues to advance slowly but surely. We have been representing that very well through various presentations. We had one that with Argonne the other day in their Crocus project that looked at CWA writ large and introduced them to that, but took a deeper dive on the CAPN. We have also been to a couple of conferences where that's come up, and we have a presentation at the Midwest Resilience Conference hosted by University of Minnesota next week in Duluth, where we get an opportunity to promote that as well as CW in general. Activating the hub, I continue to help with that through the C4 initiatives and the granting initiatives, which Mark will talk about in a little bit, but that's sort of ongoing work. The grants and policy connections, you heard about the NOAA grant, which is awesome. We also just recently authored a letter to the Illinois State Energy Office to advocate for them to apply for federal funding for pollution reduction. They weren't really excited to do that, but there's a coalition of us that's sort of pushing them to try to take advantage of these funds, and I think that was well received. Last I heard is they would like to have a meeting with us about that, and that meeting needs to be set. The Riverside C4 initiatives, So this is a little out of date. The asset mapping workshop was held. The report is done. I can provide, there is a link to that further in the completed things back in the down later in the presentation. Then you can stay there. I was just saying in the completed projects at the back, there's a link to that report. We continue to provide technical assistance to them. The latest one that I did was taking their community recommendations and cross-referencing them against the UN sustainability guidelines and the MMC regional climate plan so that they could see where the gaps in those community recommendations are and better integrate the work of all of those 6 different groups. And there's a link, I will provide a link to that later, but that just happened on Monday night. And then the next thing up with that is the effort with Riverside is sort of winding down, and they hope to complete it by sort of December of this year. And I think the next step is to work with UEG to see if they want us to continue with our technical support that we've been providing. Education initiatives are last. We have had a series of meetings, well, one meeting with IDNR on how to help them promote and educate on their own climate action plan. And that was a really good meeting. That was about 3 weeks ago. I've written up notes for that. There are no clear next steps other than to continue the discussion for the themes that were identified in that. And then things not listed here, you heard about the ag thing, cafe later, so I have to add that as well. But that's where we're at, and thank you for this opportunity to fill you guys in. Any questions? Nope. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ted. A lot of great work happening around that initiative as well. So appreciate your leadership and everyone on the team. Okay, the last one we've got here before the hub is protecting healthy water. And Laura, you're with us.
Hi. So as you may all remember, Protecting Healthy Water has been working on adopting and figuring out how to utilize a US EPA Healthy Watersheds Index to help prioritize projects across the Chicago Wilderness region. I spent some time trying to get a better handle on the index and what is actually in it. And I chose one of the things that we talked about. We haven't met in a while. I need to schedule some more meetings. So one of the things that we talked about in our last meeting, it was actually maybe looking at some areas that were of interest in the Chicago Wilderness region from what I was thinking of as sort of a policy perspective, and see what the model said about those regions or the index and how it might inform them. And so I actually did, with an intern and then myself after she left, start looking at the indices for the headwaters of Plum Creek, because it's sort of within or near the South Suburban Airport footprint. And I thought it might be, something that could feed into an alternative land use plan if one is going out for that airport. So I'm mostly done, looking at the index, and also because that area was showing up on the index as, looking like, compared to the other watersheds around it, pretty high quality. So, so I'm mostly done looking at the, inputs to the index for that watershed to be able to summarize why it is scoring higher than its neighbors are. And then when the group gets together again, I thought we could look at that example and think about other, things that we might want to look at or prioritize, using the index. So that's kind of where I am with that. I'm also, again, actively looking for a co-chair and got a couple of more ideas of people to and organizations to approach to see if I can find that. So that's where we are at with Healthy Waters.
Laura, I wanted to let you know that Kat Gertz and Janice Hill and Maggie Solis have also been looking at watershed mapping and planning and coordinating. So maybe even just sitting down with them might be a good opportunity to just sort of think about who are the other players in the region that are working on that.
Yeah, that sounds great. I shall do that. And if there's going to be discussion for an alternative plan for the airport site, I, would be interested in participating in that and just kind of sharing what I see about that headwaters of Plum Creek watershed.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Laura, you said, tell me the names again.
I'll email it to you. Follow
Okay,
up.
thank you.
So Ted, you have your hand up?
Yeah, Laura, I just want to let you know that if that conversation happens with Maggie, I would love to be a part of that, because I'm hearing whispers that some of the federal opportunities for grants coming down, especially for climate, are going to be watershed based. So I think there's a natural connection there. We don't think about it right now as a watershed based opportunity, but it seems like that's how the government wants us to start thinking. So if those conversations happen and you could include me, I don't have much to offer, but I would love to be a part of that.
Yeah, no, and I think we should probably also circle back, because remember the offer from Lydia Scott earlier to engage with Quantified Ventures. They are actually looking at creating regional watershed coordination. So I did share that with Maggie and with the grant funding team. Laura, I probably can connect you. Let's connect around that. Maybe we can kind of do a mini meeting before you plan your next quarterly meeting. But I think that there is some energy around this right now.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Wonderful.
I just wanted to add that the GVI co-chairs will be meeting Thursday, October 19th at 11:30 with each other and Bold Bison. And then next, the hub. I guess we'll jump ahead to the hub. Is this a hub slide? I can't see it. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
It is, I think Mark Johnson had to go to another meeting. Kathy before mentioned Mark Squared, but this work is squarely rooted in the work of Mark Johnston. He has called out a couple of key things here. The hub team continues to meet on a regular basis. Amy Heldman from Friends of the Chicago River has mapped out all the watershed plans on the hub site. So just to the previous conversation. And we are actively kind of talking about how to start dashboarding certain items for each initiative that neither Mark nor I can make tomorrow's meeting. The hub is a central data repository and place for each of the 7 initiatives work to be mapped out. And it includes data, but also maps, and there's some interactive maps for each of the initiatives there. And that, I think, relates to how to promote it so that the awareness is there for everyone. And we certainly have opportunities to make maps that speak to current issues in the region. Mark and I were just talking about, he's got a lovely series of maps of that Waze maps out roadkill, and you can actually see how that impacts corridor thinking. But we were talking about the McCormick Place bird strikes last week, and what a good map could do to support that kind of thinking. Anyway, so we would love to talk with more of the initiatives on a more regular basis and part of the overall communication plan for the Alliance, and integrate some of the mapping as part of an overall awareness. Mark continues to make ongoing improvements to the design and inside when you lift up the hood, And we're very much supportive of the Growing Chicago Habitat work that was alluded to on Initiative 3, including some really great work that maps out the habitat potential of each of those corridors, and for the landowners to track their work in the transportation and utility corridors across the region. And then this last note to a point I just made about current events, Friends of Illinois Nature Preserve is very much interested in getting a sort of a better take on what's not protected of existing INAI sites, so that we can get ahead of some of the threats to those sites. So quick report, it's a robust team. Mark does a lot of work, but there's always good participation. Casey's here today, Ted, Laura are among those who are always present and contributing in important ways.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you, Mark Squared, for your effort and really having this hub and the ability to communicate externally and use this data is helping in many which ways, and I think will become as we begin to share the different work, because this has been a year of action, as you've heard this morning, and incremental changes, are occurring and successes are happening. And sometimes it's difficult to kind of articulate that. But again, when you look back and you look at how much has been made over the year, I thank everyone on these teams that are making a difference here. And again, a great work that we have in front of us to go forward. It clearly is the engine. That was Ragnar in our last meeting, right? He talked about it's important that we're investing back into the engine, giving it the fuel that's needed. And our GVI groups are definitely the fuel that what we're working through. So thank you. Okay, let's see here. Laura, you've got another slide. Did I forget a group here?
No,
Do this one.
no,
No, you did. Okay.
I don't.
Okay, so what we'd like to do now with some time this morning is go into the individual, we're going to go into breakout sessions and would request that as these are listed, you can choose whichever breakout groups or whichever GVI groups you would like to engage in this morning for about 20 minutes. Would ask that the co-leads be present to kind of lead the conversation, but engage if there's other thoughts or ideas to what you've heard this morning, some feedback time to see what we can do. That would be greatly appreciated. If you go into a room where no one's present, just hang out for a little bit and then maybe move into another room if you would. We will then reconvene back into the regular meeting just a little bit after 11:10 is what I have on my schedule right now. So that would give plenty of time for you to do so, and then we'll wrap up through the final items of the meeting. As you heard too, we are definitely looking for some co-leads, additional members and partners to work with the team. The council did approve stipends for our co-leads for our GVI, and we are supporting that into next year. So again, we're wanting to remove any barriers that would prevent participation and provide compensation for time and effort in leading these teams. So with that, Laura,
Well, hold on one second. I hear that Jerry has another meeting to go to, so we don't
Right.
want him to slip away
okay.
right now.
All right, well,
Without
we'll go back.
acknowledging how special he is to all of us.
Yes, thank you, Laura. And Jerry, if you're here, and I don't know if you've got the camera, we so much appreciate all the great work. And for those that were in Open Lands yesterday, did have the opportunity to celebrate Jerry. He was the recipient of the 2023 Conservation Leadership Award by Open Lands. Jerry is a founding member of the Chicago Wilderness Alliance, and the beautiful material of the legacy that he leaves behind after 35 years servicing in this role. Open Lands celebrating 60 years, but Jerry has been with us all along the way and has achieved so many different things. And so we just appreciate you. Thank you. And on behalf of the Alliance, wish you well. Jerry will be remaining on with us for a little longer, but as he begins his exit, but we just wanted to take this opportunity just on behalf of everyone. Thank you for your leadership. So.
I don't know if he left.
Jerry, you here? Did you have anything you wish to?
I worry that he left already.
Did
Shoot.
he leave us?
Oh dear. Well, we'll have another opportunity. We will revisit this again. So
Yeah, thank you. My apologies. I didn't realize that he was heading out early. So, and he will be with us. So with transitioning there. So thank you. All right, now back to breakout groups. So about 20 minutes. Again, if you find a room that's empty, go ahead in another room. We'll pull back together for that 20 minutes, but we wanted to use this opportunity to engage everyone in more conversation. So Laura, go ahead and set the rooms up and we'll send everybody, pick your room. You can self-select.
if you have any problems, just let me know and I will move you into the room.
Not seeing how to select a room. I can't find them.
Which one do you want to go to, Paul?
Well, where's I'm not seeing the list either. I'm not,
Oh, let's
could I be
see.
seeing something on the screen?
If you go over, there's an area that shows breakout rooms. If you,
Okay,
it's like on the bottom taskbar, it's past notes, past whiteboard.
I have whiteboards, notes, apps, breakout rooms. Ah, it's over
More.
here. It's on
Okay,
the left.
great.
Oh, it
Oh, it's on
moved.
it's not on the left of mine. I'm sorry.
Strange. Okay, great. Thank you.
But if there's any problem, just tell me which one you're interested in and I'll move you over.
No, I'll get it. Yep.
Okay. Jack, are you here? Do you want to be assigned to a room? Or did you have to step away?
Hey, Laura, I was just typing Mark a note.
Okay.
Yeah, I do need to step away.
Sure.
And, I didn't see like a corporate council breakout, but, I would still be
Didn't
interested
do.
in
I
getting
know.
together with you and Mark at some point, just to kind of help reframe that and then see if I could add value long-term as well, depending on how it's reframed going forward.
I would like that. And I think we can, let's do that in a small group. We'll get a meeting together and get some strategy around that and then move forward.
Okay.
But thank you
Yeah.
so much. You have a great
Yeah,
day.
yeah. I'm traveling the next couple of weeks, but sometime in November maybe.
Yeah, that sounds better. It should be quieting down for everybody then. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Take
That
care.
sounds good. I'll still shoot Mark a note before I have to sign off here in 5 minutes. All right.
Yeah, he might
All
not
right.
get it. Well, so I'm not sure what happens to the chat when you go into breakout room and come back. But yeah, just maybe even just circle back with an email and then we'll move
Okay.
forward.
All right. I
Thank
can
you.
just do that then. All right. Thanks.
Take care.
Bye. Yep.
Bye-bye.
It's a good meeting. So I hope your groups went well.
Yeah, it was really good.
I liked it too. I think we should do this
Thank
more
you.
often. That was good.
I thought just more time to engage in
Yeah.
that versus and everybody come back from your transport and I always feel like it's the Back to the Future. You're going into this portal and then you hope that you kind of get recombobulated all back into one piece by the time you get back from your Zoom journey into these breakout rooms. So all right, well, welcome back, everybody. Feedback. I've heard a little bit as we were coming in. How did you feel those breakout sessions? Were they productive? Good way to connect maybe at a smaller level with just what's going on here and we can get some ideas of how to put those forward into future meetings, right? Maybe more intentional, maybe some set conversation questions in advance and leads just to engage. So anything that was really key that you'd like to share with the group of your conversations that would be good for the whole to hear?
From the healthy landscapes, it was just myself and one person, but Tom Meehan was there and he is really trying to want to get the wildlife task force back up and running. So he's talking to Gary Glowacki. As you may know, wildlife diseases are really hurting a lot of efforts to bring back species. The Blandy's turtle program is kind of on hold with the disease out there. So there's other things that are coming along. So that may be something that comes to the forefront. Certainly going to encourage Gary to get that wildlife task force up and running again. At least before they were meeting once a year with a really great session about all sorts of things. So that was there, but only 2 people. It's tough to get anything done.
Appreciate that. Any other observations?
I just thought it was great without a prompt to just top of mind things that had come up previously in the hour before, and we could just chat quickly about it. I heard about 2 new programs on ag lands that I had not heard of before that I think all of us should be aware of somehow in the months ahead.
Wonderful. So to share that. Have anything else?
Yeah, I think I liked our smaller group. We talked about the possibility of having another cafe and thinking about ways to coordinate with the Government Relations Committee to advance some legislation. And Paul Botch, you could add in here. I learned about some work that's going on that I was unaware of. So it was really nice to have this little breakout.
Yeah, we're a lot of there's definitely some stuff under the surface on a couple of different fronts. Now, the ones that I know about and Jim spoke about are Illinois specific, but of course there are similar things in our other states as well.
Yeah, Victoria had some good advice on friends groups as well. Yeah, it was good. I'd do it again.
Terrific. Well, and hopefully in those sessions, I don't know of those points that were captured. I don't know how we capture those in the minutes. I mean, I think when we're recording the section where we're all together, I don't know if the individual breakouts are recorded. Do you know? They're not. So if there were any highlights, I guess, if someone would capture those so that we don't lose them, or at least you've got that from the leads there, so we can bring that back to the individual GBI teams. That would be great. Okay. Anything else? Jeremy and Cherie, I know we talked a little bit about access of training, and again, reiterating what we did before. I had also mentioned just there is a piece of legislation. I know with the federal government, we're working on getting the budget, right? Because they had the extension. So we've got till November on that date. But there is a Outdoor Access for All Act that's being promoted. I was just last week at the National Recreation and Park Conservation Convention. And so they're working on pushing that and with a coalition similar to here. For many partners, you're probably, if you've heard of it before, has anybody heard of that? Access for All, Outdoor Access for All Act? So I don't know what that means, more federal funding per initiatives, but definitely ties in clearly with our work and something for us to monitor as that comes through. Okay. All right. Well, we missed Jerry. We'll have to do a repeat on that one. Anything else, Laura, from you on announcements?
No, we have a robust series of cafes in the next month. We have 4 different cafes. And I can redrop the link to the cafes in the chat, but check that out and please join us. And we will be starting our partner renewals, so you'll be hearing from me with that information in the next month.
Thank you, Laura. And then, as many of you, I do know we did identify, Ted, you talked about the Midwest Climate Conference. There's also a group of us presenting at the Illinois State Conference on Chicago Wilderness Alliance. And so is there other opportunities as we begin to work, I'd like to see something, maybe if there's an Indiana opportunity or Wisconsin opportunity that we're able to pick up. And maybe as we begin some of this, it's something we can transfer, take it on the road as we package that, but just again, for outreach. So that's up and coming. So thank you for those that are helping to build the alliance and outreach. Any general personal announcements that anyone would like to make from your organization or shout outs that you'd like to share with the group this morning?
Yes, Elizabeth, I would like to share that tomorrow morning from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m., the Northwest Indiana Urban Waters Federal Partnership will hold their final quarterly meeting of the year. And we've got a wonderful set of partner presentations lined up, including a presentation from Steve Barker of NIPSCO, who's going to talk about NIPSCO's commitment to biodiversity and some of the work that they've been doing to create pollinator habitat on their rights of ways. And that'll be followed by a presentation from the U.S. Geological Survey on some eDNA research that they're doing, which directly ties into that pollinator work as well. So this is a hybrid meeting. There is a link to a Zoom, but the meeting is going to be held at Portage Lakefront and Riverwalk, and the Wi-Fi is a little spotty on the lakeshore. So we've got our fingers crossed it's going to go smoothly, but if you can make it in person, please do. It's a beautiful location and should be a great meeting. Also time to share your updates and announcements as well. So I'll put some information in the chat.
Thank you, Victoria. And again, those meetings are great, just to lean in and see what's going on. Awesome. So thank you. Other announcements? Hearing none. So we said we had the coordinating council meeting, that's tomorrow. Steering committee, we have a meeting at the end of the month, so you'll see that. We are trying to work on maybe gathering for a kind of retreat gathering, just to set for the year ahead, like we did, maybe do that since we moved our partnership event to January, use that time for us to kind of gather. And then we also discussed, so this is the last executive council meeting for the year, but still information, the working groups, but I know it gets really busy with the holiday season. That's up and coming. And again, I'll just leave with the thoughts. Thank you again for everything that everyone's doing, and just a thought of a piece as we think, if you have family members across seas that are going through what's happening, at times are tough. So again, thoughts and prayers. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thanks, Kathleen. Second. Okay,
Good.
Mark. All right, we are considered all in favor. We are adjourned for today. Thank you so much.
Bye.
for
Thank
your time.
you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Thanks,
Thank
Laura.
Thank you.
Better.
Share your voice.
Thank you.
Yeah. There we go.
Okay.
Both. Sorry we didn't get a chance to connect before.
No, I did. There was just almost every colossal thing that's between last night and this morning with these letters and everything else. So, but thank you for being responsive to that. I feel better not having put that forward with everybody on the call, and I appreciate it. So
Yeah, I think we will